Hey everybody, I'm back and I wanted to go over the tiny home. So I've mentioned it a lot in the comments and I never really showed you where we lived, but we lived in this tiny home for 2 years. So let's just jump in and have a look. Most of the time when people think of a tiny home, they think of this. And what you actually get in a tiny home is this. We lived in here, our experience was probably a little bit different because we have 2 kids and we have 2 big dogs. So the dogs had to have somewhere to lay down, and we were cooking for 4 humans. So I'll kind of walk you around. So this is the kitchen area behind me. So by the way, I did all the work in here, so you're definitely going to see some amateurish craftsmanship, but we were trying to do it on a budget, so we bought the trailer. It's 32 feet by 9 feet, and it was an old construction trailer. So it already had kind of the shell around it. You saw the metal shell outside. But anyway, we'll kind of look around. So I'll come over here so that you can kind of see the kitchen behind me. So we had quite a bit of counter space. Actually, the house that we lived in before this had less counter space than this. And that's because we prioritized that counter space. We did open shelves, which made it a lot easier to get to things. And the shelves also acted as our pantry. So our pantry would be up in these shelves here. We had all full-size appliances in here. That's kind of unique for a tiny home. The reason we did that was because we had a large family and we didn't want to cut back on that. So this is the bathroom. We just had kind of a one-piece shower, as you can see there, single vanity, and then I built some shelving here to store all of our clothes. So all of our folding clothes would go here, and there's no closet in this tiny home. I'll show you where my clothes lived. So I have to dress up for work, so I had this little mechanism here which would pull out and lock in place, and all my shirts would be hanging on here, so they'd hang flat against the door. And then I would have my pants, dress pants, hanging here, and then we had hooks up here. I don't know if you can really see that, but we had all these hooks along to hang things. So you actually, if we had to get into the electrical panel, we had to like take stuff down to get in there. I'm sure that was some sort of code violation. What we did here, so this was Madeline's room. That's my daughter. She's the older of the 2. So she was the only one that actually had her own room. And this was it. It's kind of a mess now because we haven't been living in here. We moved out a couple months ago and we've been kind of getting our stuff out. There's one of the window units, so that's how we cooled the whole place. We would have, basically we had a window unit here, a window unit here, and then the second summer we were in here, it started getting really hot. So we added this guy right here. This is like an RB air conditioning unit. All 3 would be running at the same time, and it's super loud. So that's one of the downsides of tiny home living, is that an air conditioner just blowing is pretty loud. And so we had to deal with that, right? It was really hard to hear. You couldn't have a phone conversation in here, really, because the air conditioners are so loud. In the wintertime, it was kind of a funny swap because space heaters are quiet, but it also takes up floor space. So now we're losing some of our square footage for that. The total square footage of this tiny home is 280 square feet, but the total like usable square footage when you take out like the cabinets and the refrigerator and everything ends up being more like 140 square feet. So it doesn't seem like it would, but giving up 2 or 3 square feet for a space heater, you feel like you're tripping over it all the time. So it's kind of crazy. So I'll show you some of the lifestyle things. And this is like a little children's pop-out picnic table. So we would open this up, and then the way I would do this is just kind of shake this out. Well, see, I'm rusty. And I was sitting on a stool, leaning against the refrigerator. I'm sweating because the air conditioning's not running in here. And this is how I would eat meals. Julie, my wife, would sit here, and the kids would sit on this side, unless they were fighting and one of them would go over there. And it was super easy to clean up after a meal, because you just get the table out of the way and sweep up the floor. So let me show you some of the storage and where we slept. Okay, so other than bookshelves, like Madeline had a bookshelf in her room, she had a dresser in there, but there was no other dedicated storage in here. except for this bin right here. So the plan with this raised floor for Madeline's room was that we could have a bin for storage and we could push our bed under there, and I'll show you that in a minute. But this was our storage bin. So this was the only place where we could store winter clothing, backpacks, camping gear, whatever was in here. And it's pretty messy right now. But as you can see, it pulls out pretty far and gives us quite a bit of storage. Without this, it would have really been a struggle. And then it just pushes back in. So obviously, we would put the most common things up front. So some of my clothes were in there, like t-shirts and stuff like that. And then a little further back would be like swimming stuff, and way back in the back would be like things that we didn't use very commonly, because it was really difficult to pull all this out. When we were sleeping in here, the bed would be pulled out and my son's pack and play, which he was sleeping in, would be right here. Okay, so this right here was our bed and also our couch. So this is pushed all the way in right now, and as you can imagine, if there's the end of a bed here, you kind of have a couch area. And our mattress is pretty thick. It's like one of those memory foam ones. So it would fill this space completely. And it would come out right here. We actually wouldn't push it in all the way. It would kind of sit more like here, so that we'd have a couch, and then our pillows that we were sleeping on at night would be around the edges, so that we would, have something to lean on. And then at nighttime, we would pull this out all the way, just like that. And our whole mattress would be exposed and we'd lay on it. Now, the challenge with this was that every morning we had to make the bed like this. And making a bed that's surrounded on 3 sides is a pain, like having to climb all over it to make the bed. So if I was going to do this again, I'd probably find a way to have the bed to where it wasn't against the wall and, against these cabinets here. Let me grab the camera and I'll kind of show you how this looks. So when the bed was out, this entire space was filled, and then the pack and play for the baby would be in this space. So it was really hard to get around in here. If we had to get up to go into Madeline's room at night, we had to get around the pack and play on the floor here. All right, well that's it on the tiny home. But before I go, I did want to show you some pictures that we took over the years with some little captions. You have to be creative with play areas. Only 2 people can fit in the kitchen. And kids can make a mess really fast. Really, really fast. But it gave us an opportunity to grow close as a family, and we had some really great times. I hope you enjoyed this video today. If you did, hit that like button and make sure and subscribe to get more content like this, and I'll see you in the next video.